ocean is where I go to find peace and a place where I belong. It's where I feel free. Without that connection, I don't feel like I'm the person I'm supposed to be.
The thing with pieces about the ocean is that you're almost always guaranteed some beautiful photography, and this film did not disappoint in that regard. I thought they did a great job of capturing the vastness and enormity of the ocean. I love those really wide shots with these giant waves, and the cinematography was so creative here. I love the overhead shots of the ocean and the street, and there's this one part where he's talking about destruction in society, and the whole shot is just engulfed in flames. These aren't things that you normally see in a documentary. They were visually so stunning, and I thought they really elevated the piece and contributed to some wonderful storytelling. And that was one of my favorite parts about this film. We got a really personal story here. There was a beginning, middle, and end to follow along with. It was really well narrated and really well paced, too. I love the inclusion of his wife and his family, and I thought it was just a full, fleshed out story that you don't see in a lot of documentaries, and it made it so much more interesting.
Imagery and narrative. The director did a really good job of giving us a full arc of Kirby's story about this injury, because had we started with anyone else, we would not be on Kirby's side. But we started with Kirby and Kirby's love for the water, and we started with beautiful images of the ocean, starting with that pink. We did get a little glimpse of what was to come, which helps the story. But initially, all of the imagery of the ocean is just these stunning, stunning, stunning shots, so we understand Kirby's love for what he does. And then we get the nervousness of his brother, and the nervousness of his dad, and the nervousness of his partner. But if we started with any one of those people, immediately we'd be like, why is he doing this? Why is he doing this? But because we start with the beauty of the water, we get Kirby and we're with him. And I think that helps create this wonderful narrative. There was a quote he had said, oh, what's the use of doing it if I'm going to be careful? And I feel like that sums him up. And even at the end, he's like, I just can't sit on the sidelines. Like, no matter how close to death he is, no matter who he might be leaving behind, like, this is who he is, for better or for worse. There was a moment, I don't remember which ocean he was at, but there was a big drop from the top of a wave where he just goes into a hole in the water, and that was incredible to watch, that drop. Kirby mentioning that he took the little things for granted and he missed out on a lot of little things, which is like full circle to what his dad was saying, because his dad did the opposite. His dad missed out solely on surfing with Kirby and didn't do it until later on, whereas Kirby solely dedicated himself to surfing and now gets to kind of spend more different quality time with his family. So it was a really nice full circle moment.
I think you did a great job framing this piece by starting out of order with the sequence of events. That way you could create your own narrative surrounding what happened, and create a bigger emotional pull for Kirby. I think that was really smart to do. And it gives the audience, it ups the audience's emotional stakes to the story. And, you know, with the documentary, it's to inform, but it's also to either really pull on the ethos or logos, the emotion or the logic or a call to action of some sort. And you do a great job of telling their story and telling it in a way that draws the viewer emotionally. And you do a great job of doing that. I think it's framed really, really well visually, and story-wise, it's really, really great. I think you do a great job of speaking to their family and you know, their partner, and they go through surfing and, you know, how dangerous it is compared to Kirby's love of it, just to, you know, have that moment where things go wrong and you understand, you know, it kind of flips the perspective halfway through. Just a really, really interesting story.
Just really amazing human story, told really well. Just a great narrative. I like that the ocean, the wave itself was almost a character in the story, and it was just told really well. The cinematography was fantastic, um, really just some stunning imagery, and it was all put together really with a strong filmmaking sensibility. It really played like a documentary, but felt really cinematic, and was told like a sort of like a film story, like we would expect with that kind of structure. The way it was bookended, the way things were told and built up, the pacing, the editing, all of it was top-notch filmmaking about a really interesting fella and his family, and this drive to to ride this wave, which that alone is just amazing to me. That thrill-seeking mentality to see a wave like that and be like, yeah, I want to get up in that. So kudos to them.
Just did a great job of outlining kind of the artist's struggle for us, and in this case, he's kind of a athlete artist, as a surfer. He's going out and facing monsters. It's a great title and a great turn of phrase used in the film, and it really wonderfully depicts what's going on. Because we get a sense of his struggle in his personal life and how he deals with it through surfing, and seeing him go through the low times, and yeah, and then building back up again. And it's difficult seeing him, injured. It's hinted at the beginning, then we see it happen near the end. But it's wonderful to see, that he's faced the monsters, and at the end, he can be content with his family. It's really nice to see that somebody is able to struggle and build their life that way.
It wasn't just a documentary on surfing. It was about the underlying reason for chasing this feeling, the addiction to it, and how that translates into other areas of life, for this person specifically, who also had at some point an addiction to drinking. So are they tied together? Are these addictions related to something else that's underlying? And I really like how they brought it. Well, I mean, this is this guy's life. So I like how they showed that he came to some kind of realization about this after he got really hurt. I really loved the opening shot. I thought it was really cool and kept me wondering. And then toward the end, they showed it again and brought it all around to that. Gosh, the technicality of the production was just spot on as far as the production value. The beautiful natural lighting, cinematography, just so great. Really, I mean, some of these cool underwater shots and shots where you felt like you were literally sitting on the wave next to the surfer just made me really feel like I was on this journey as the friend out there in the water, as his brother and his friends were. And I also liked that the filmmaker was explaining the details about why the waves were so dangerous, the type of waves, how thick the water was, and that explanation was key, especially for a non-surfer like me. It made me understand the extent, the stakes here of going out and picking these waves to surf. I loved that they showed the family element as well, and the history of this relationship with the wife and then the kids. It's not just about going out and having an adventure with your friends.
We see about the people in this character's life, his relationships, two brothers, parents, wife and kids, the multiple accidents he's been through, and outstanding shots from massive waves in Australia. We also see about his passion, also described sometimes as addictions or other addictions he has, taking risks, sometimes making bad decisions. I think it tells us to ultimately always return to your true love and passion, and with these breathtaking shots, you can almost feel that you are riding the waves yourself and falling, and those close-ups and slow motion scenes, it's just magic. It's you feel there that you are there. It's very perfectly dramatized with the music, and original audio from waves crashing down. The other analogy that is put through the movie is the title itself, that monsters can also be the society we live in, and how this can make us alienate even from ourselves. It was perfect. I loved it, the opening and the closing scenes.